Hey everybody, today I'm speaking to Evgeny Shadchnev. He is the founder and ex-CEO of Makers, one of the top coding boot camps in London.
Writing code in a more traditional way can be a much more lonely experience. Even if you build something really simple, just do it today rather than something better next week. The main part of the screen is dedicated to code, which can be a bit intimidating if you're not a developer. It may be easier to do something which will have unintended side effects. It's important to just start.
Hey everybody, today I'm speaking to Evgeny Shadchnev, and I'm really excited to have him on the show because he is the founder and ex-CEO of Makers, one of the top coding boot camps in London. Now, Evgeny's been teaching people how to code for over a decade, and he's recently been diving into AI tools. So it's great to have him here.
Thank you for having me. I'm Evgeny Shadchnev. I'm a founder of Makers a coding bootcamp. We've trained several thousand developers since we founded the company in 2013. But I'm not running the business anymore. I left it in 25 years ago. And since then, I've been focusing on coaching other founders as a founder coach, but also diving into AI development.
I know that this week you've been building a really exciting little project. I think you built it in 3 days called Modern Parent that helps parents find the right nursery for them. Why did you decide to build this?
So it was really a small experiment to learn what it's like to build a quick tool and then see if it has got the potential to turn into a bigger business. I've done it in collaboration with another entrepreneur, so I'm not the only person building it, but I was responsible for all the technical bits. And the challenge is that when I speak to pretty much every single new parent, they tell me the same story of having to visit dozens of websites to find all the information they need on different nurseries, their policies, their fees, and then there are questions about tax-free childcare and government benefits and other admin questions. And new parents just don't have time to research all of this. AI seems like an obvious solution in this case because a single AI bot that specializes in this particular vertical can offer tailored and personalized advice in this area.
Sounds like a very familiar problem that I know I've got myself. So I'm really excited to see what you've built. Let's have a look.
So what I built is a WhatsApp bot called Modern Parent that anyone can talk to. So for example, here on the screen, you can see that I'm saying hello. It asks me how I can help, and I say that I need a nursery in Twickenham. So let's say I live in Twickenham in southwest London, and it immediately gives me a selection of a few options. But that's easy. A Google search could do it. But I could ask questions like which of them offer swimming lessons? And behind the scenes, it would consult its own database of nurseries, which has information on different facilities and offset ratings and fees and so on. And it gives me an answer like the mall nursery offers swimming lessons as part of their activity. And I can follow up and ask things like, how much is this nursery? What are their fees? Um, it's got fees on some nurseries, but not all of them yet. It's still at the very beginning, so I'm curious what it's going to say. Okay, so it's got fees for the mall nursery, and it gives me a breakdown. But what's also cool is that it remembers my personal information. So, for example, if I tell it that I live in Twickenham and I've got two kids aged, let's say, 6 months and 3 years, it will remember this and then it will personalize the answers to my situation. So, for example, if I tell it that my mom promised to help with childcare on Fridays, and so I only need childcare for 4 days a week, it will take it into account and show me prices adjusted for 4 days a week, including discounts that some nurseries might offer, for example, for enrolling two kids. So basically, it's a one-stop solution for all questions about nurseries, and it's done in a way that's personalized to your specific situation.
Very cool. And is the information then, is that stored in a database that you've created, or is it sort of scraping the web for that in real time when you ask it questions?
So there are three sources of information. Uh, it searches, so first of all, the database of nurseries is is a vector store which is stored inside on the in the OpenAI API. So I use the infrastructure from OpenAI, creators of ChatGPT, to store information about nurseries, which was scraped from their websites. The second source of information is a separate database which stores facts about the user. So every time I tell the bot something like, let's say, I only need nursery for 2 days a week, it extracts this information as a separate fact about me and stores it in a separate database hosted on a different platform. And the third source of, of information is just Google. If the bot doesn't have enough information to answer the question in its own database, it will just Google behind the scenes and use that information to answer the question.
Very cool. I know I've been wanting to build WhatsApp bots for different use cases as well. Tell us a little bit about your process and how you built this.
So I built it in Cursor. Let me show you my development environment. So this is what the development environment looks like. It's a uh, coding editor like any other, except that it's powered by AI. So on top of writing code myself, I can just tell the AI assistant what to do. So actually, the vast majority of code was written by the AI assistant rather than by hand. So for example, this is the last, on the right, you can see the last uh, query that I made. I noticed that I can only send so much data to the API because it's got some rate limits. So I asked it in plain English, can you make sure that we don't send more than 450,000 characters to OpenAI API for extracting data, and then more details along the same lines in plain English. And as you can see, it thought for 10 seconds and then made a number of changes to various files to correctly implement rate limits. And if I scroll up and see my previous questions, you will see the entire process. Again, it happens in plain English. So for example, I tell it, uh, right now the file where the scraping data is stored uses the nursery name, but they are not unique because many nurseries are part of the network. Can you make sure the names are unique? And then again, it modifies the code to make it. So the entire process was built by giving it a few hundred plain English prompts like this one. And very occasionally, I was writing code myself, maybe to get around some specific requirements, but mostly it was just asking Cursor to do it in plain English.
Amazing. Did you? How easy is it to start a new project in Cursor? Because I know with Lovable and Replit, they're really set up to kind of take a prompt and build something from nothing. Is that the same with Cursor, or do you need to kind of give it a bit more direction?
It's maybe marginally more difficult, maybe for complete beginners, because Replit and many other platforms, they don't even show the code to you unless you ask. So you talk to the agent and you see the results on the right, for example, with Replit, which I absolutely love. I built, if I show you, so this is the landing page which I built for the project in Replit. This is super easy. With Cursor, it's slightly harder because the main part of the screen is dedicated to code, which can be a bit intimidating if you're not a developer. But largely, the workflow is the same. You've got a conversation with an AI bot on the right. You tell it what you want to do. It makes changes. You see the results. But Cursor will require a tiny bit more experience with technology compared to Replit or Lovable.
And for people who are starting out and kind of aren't sure, whether they should stay with Replit or whether they should go to Cursor, like what would be some good signals that they should choose one or the other?
I would start with something very friendly like Replit, and switch to Cursor once you realize that you want to access the underlying code directly, that you want to talk to AI and look at the code it's generating at the same time. So Replit is great for development if you just don't really care about the code. You just want to create something, and as long as it works, it's okay. But for some applications, especially once it gets a bit more complex, you want maybe a degree of control. And in this case, you will probably want to either switch to something like Cursor or to slightly change your development workflow in Replit, because Replit also gives you access to code. It's just maybe not as direct as Cursor. And also another interesting point is that Replit gives you many more guardrails. In other words, it's more difficult to make catastrophic mistakes in Replit. Replit is designed to be user friendly, or rather beginner friendly, whereas Cursor is aimed at more experienced developers, and uh, it may be easier to do something which will have unintended side effects, and it might not even be immediately obvious because Cursor will just go and do it.
Okay, great. How are you deploying to the internet with Cursor?
There are two ways. One one way is to use the platform called Messenger. So Messenger is a platform which provides the API to talk to WhatsApp. My experience using it has been really good. So uh, you can, if you are looking to create a WhatsApp bot, something like Messenger or a similar platform can be really helpful. So as they say, it's a WhatsApp communication and automations for all businesses, and it's genuinely easy. And when it comes to uh, deploying the code of the bot that actually runs it behind the scenes on the backend, I use Render, a cloud application platform, which is a professional, very powerful uh, platform for deploying your apps, but at the same time, it's genuinely user friendly. I think they strike a really good balance between having something powerful and having something easy to use. And you can also get started for free. So if you don't need any sophisticated requirements, or if you don't expect a particularly high load, you can deploy to Render for free.
There seem to be loads of these like apps like Wasenda or Render, which help out people when they're building things, but the average person might never have heard of before. How do you find the right service for your needs? Is that a Google search, or is there sort of some secret database of developer tools?
For me, it's mostly I hear what my friends are using. I'm part of a couple of WhatsApp groups of other developers using AI tools, and there is an ongoing daily conversation about who is trying what, who's got what kind of experience with different tools. We share information on new releases and just some very cool stuff that people find on Twitter and LinkedIn, and that's really my main source of information. Also, sometimes I ask ChatGPT. I explain what I'm trying to do and ask, okay, what are the tools available, and that Google's and gives me a few options. And after a bit of back and forth, it helps me to choose the right one.
What are the main differences you see between kind of coding traditionally and using AI tools like Cursor?
It's very different. Uh, Coding with Cursor feels like coding with another person. It's almost like pair programming, where two people are sitting in front of the same keyboard and they are discussing what needs to be done, how it needs to be done, and then they are writing it together and discussing it in the process. It's not a lonely experience. Writing code in a more traditional way can be a much more lonely experience. But of course, maybe an even bigger difference is the speed. It's just so much faster, like in order of magnitude faster than writing things by hand. And even though it still takes time to read the code, understand what it's doing, make sure that what's happening is what you want to see happening. So it still requires quite a bit of cognitive effort, but nonetheless, the difference in speed is at least 2x. Also, I think my focus shifts from how do I do it from a technical perspective. What tools do I use? What is the syntax of different commands? What libraries are available, and so on. Most of my attention shifts to what needs to be done and how it needs to be done and why it needs to be done. If I'm clear on these three questions, what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and how it needs to be done, and I can explain it clearly to AI, it will probably do a good job. Because to be frank, when I ask Cursor and I get results which are different from what I expect, it's almost always because I was not clear enough in asking AI what I want to see happening.
If someone's starting out on the path to coding with AI for the first time, what are the 2 or 3 lessons that they should learn really quickly?
The first one is that it's important to just start. Even if you build something really, really simple, just do it today rather than something better next week. Just get practical experience of doing it. The reason it's important is because when we start using AI tools, we build the different models of how they work and what they are capable of. AI is so different from any other technology I ever worked with in my career that it requires a new mental model to use it. And by using different tools, by seeing what they're good at, what they're not good at, and how to use them in different ways, we get the experience they need. Another thing I would add is not to focus on what tool is the best or what tool is the right one. Pick up whatever you're aware of, and if you don't know just where to start with Replit, um, and just tell it what you want to build. Or even without Replit, if you are using Claude as your AI assistant day to day, it can build simple applications just right inside Claude. And ChatGPT can also write code as well. So basically, whatever AI you are talking to, just ask it what needs to be built, and if it can't build something, again, ask for an explanation. Maybe uh, you need to use a different platform, but again, ask which one, why, how to use it, and it will guide you there.
That's really helpful. Thank you, Evgeny. I know a lot of people get stuck with the debugging side of things when they're using these AI tools. What are your tips there for when things don't work out as planned?
I've got two thoughts on this. The first one is that on the one hand, debugging is still a manual activity in that it requires you to understand what's happening with the code and fix it. But the good news is that you can ask AI to help you debug the process. If you don't understand how a function works, ask it why it behaves the way it behaves, or how it works, or what might be the problem. So just by discussing it with AI and asking for its feedback, you can get very, very far. But another thing is that because code generation with AI is so easy and cheap, you can just do what people now call vibe coding and just ignore the bug and just say, you know what, scrap this entire feature and rebuild it from scratch. Or maybe rebuilding the entire app from scratch. Uh, and just instead of figuring out what's wrong with it, just starting from scratch or from the previous feature that worked, and telling AI to build it again. It would be completely infeasible if you were writing code by hand, but with AI, it becomes feasible.
Super. Evgeny, this has been fantastic. Just one final question before we wrap up. If you were going to point someone to a set of resources or tips, like what are the things that you think would be most useful for people to know about?
There are lots of good resources available, but maybe the first one which comes to mind is AI itself, ChatGPT or Claude or whatever AI assistant you are using. If you've got a question, ask ChatGPT where to learn more about it, or ask it to explain it to you, or ask it where to start. It's more efficient and often more fun than using Google. There are lots of great blogs on Substack. Uh, Plenty of people write a really good newsletter specifically on AI. Uh, there is, I really like latent.space AI newsletter, and Alberto Romero writes a really good newsletter about AI. Unfortunately, I forget the name of the newsletter. And if you happen to be on Substack, I also have a Substack newsletter. You can find it at substack.yevgeny.coach. And I've got a few essays there about this project that we discussed today, as well as a few other AI related things.
Amazing. Well, we will make sure we've got all those links in the show notes. Thank you very much, Evgeny. This has been fantastic, and good luck with everything going forwards.
Thank you for having me.